And it is a crazy headline story. A lot of folks concerned about this one. Denver is among 24 major metropolitan areas where prescription drugs have been found in the drinking water. According to an Associated Press study, antibiotics, mood stabilizers, sex hormones, and over-the-counter pain medications are just some of the pharmaceuticals found in the drinking water of at least 41 million Americans.
The Associated Press investigation reveals that nearly every drinking water supply in the country that's been tested for pharmaceuticals tested positive. 24 major metropolitan areas from coast to coast. What turned up? Trace amounts of everything from sex hormones to drugs for livestock, anti-seizure medications, prescription painkillers, even the antidepressant ingredient in Prozac.
How many water suppliers that you spoke to actually filter out pharmaceuticals?
Virtually no water supplier we talk to will claim or can claim to entirely filter out pharmaceuticals because the treatment systems aren't designed to filter out pharmaceuticals.
In Philadelphia, for example, scientists detected 63 different pharmaceuticals in the untreated watershed and 56 in the drinking water. Just a handful had been eliminated by filtration.
The EPA doesn't yet even require water providers to test for them.
Prescriptions have risen by 13% in the past 5 years to 3.8 billion a year, and Americans buy nearly as many non-prescription drugs. It all gets flushed through our bodies and into the water supply.
We are a medicalized society, and I think it's important for people to recognize the kind of public health implications of this kind of medicalization.
And finally this week, scientists and activists reported this past week that more than 80% of the male bass fish in Washington, D.C.'s major river are now exhibiting female traits, such as egg production, because of a toxic stew of pollutants. Intersex fish probably result from drugs, such as the contraceptive pill, and other chemicals being flushed into the water, and they've been found across the U.S.
A study by David Skelly, an ecology professor at the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, found male frogs living in the ponds and lakes of Connecticut are growing eggs in their testes.
What we find when we look inside of these frogs, in about 1 in 8 of these frogs across the whole sample, is that the testes of an animal that otherwise appears to be a male are also producing eggs. When we go to places that are predominantly forested, they're undeveloped, we don't find this at all. When we go to places that are agricultural, we actually find in most of the ponds we go to, we don't find any deformities at all. When we go to places that are in suburban and urban areas like this, we find the most deformities, 1 in 5 animals. And that suggests to us that the explanation that we started thinking we would end up at, and that is agricultural pesticides, is not our leading idea of what's going on. The fact that this is going on in both urban and suburban areas at very high rates leads us to think about other possibilities. And of those, the one that we're particularly interested in following up is the idea that pharmaceuticals are being released into the environment and may be having these effects.